Hi, beautiful souls. My name is Zaza. I'm standing beside my dear walnut tree friend, and Lanto Lightfoot is out keeping watch. Today I'm sharing a little light on walnut trees. I didn't intend to become such great friends with this tree. It happened organically, naturally, that we developed and grew our friendship. And just now I was reminded by this dear friend that this is not the first walnut tree friend that I have had. And it's funny, but I hadn't realised until just now that indeed that's true. I had a walnut tree friend in Spain. So I used to live in Spain. I've lived in Fuerteventura. Lived there for 6 years in the 90s, and I've also lived in the Costa Brava more recently, in 2013. And when I lived there, I lived on a farm. I lived on a pig farm. I am a vegan now, but back then I was a vegetarian. And anyone that has ever lived on a pig farm and still eats meat, then I really wonder where their moral compass lies. So I was living as a vegetarian at the time on this pig farm. And whilst I was living there, there was lots and lots of different buildings on the farmland, and really loads and loads of beautiful old farm buildings. And in one of the old farm buildings there was a very ancient chicken coop. And when I say ancient, as in really beautiful, beautiful old stones. And there was a sort of a cagey thing at one side which overlooked a field, and beside the field there was a small cemetery. And in that sort of cagey thing attached to the chicken coop, which was actually quite spacious for chickens, it wasn't at all bad by any means. I mean, I think there's a lot worse going on. There was, in this coop was a walnut tree, and of course a whole load of chickens, and I used to call them my girls, the girls. So every day I would collect bits and pieces from the vegetable patch. So when I was cleaning my lettuces and stuff, I used to take the outer lettuce leaves, or if there was any beasties that came in the lettuce, I used to take those out and put them in a in a big bag with the lettuce leaves and bits of melon skin. Gosh, they absolutely loved watermelon. And I used to just take all bits and pieces, and I used to go up there and I go, "Hi girls," and these chickens used to literally run to me. And the first time this happened, I was really shocked, because I'm not particularly keen on bird flapping. And there was a lot of them sitting up in the walnut tree. And at first I didn't know the type of tree that this was. I had to investigate further, because it didn't really have a great leafy umbrella at the top when I first arrived. And hi crow. So I walked in there one day, and these chickens they just all dive bombed my head, because I was so excited to receive all of these scraps and talk to me. And I used to take my dog BooBoo with me at the time, and he was actually remarkably good with chickens, which made me feel so proud of him as a dog. But you know, he was a guardian. That was the true nature of who he was. He was a natural guardian. So we would go in every day to talk to the chickens, but as I was there, I used to always talk to this tree as well. And I noticed that as I spoke to the walnut tree, and the walnut tree would be similar size to this tree, but with less of an umbrella, less greenery. And it wasn't because of the time of the year. It was, well, it might have been a little bit about that at the time, but not really, not that much, because the weather in Spain is ahead of the weather here in the UK. But I noticed how the more I spoke to it, the greener the leaves became, and the happier the tree seemed, and the more that when I went into that space, it was lighter. It was certainly lighter. In fact, I noticed the vibration of the chickens also changed. The chickens became happier with, you know, I used to sing to them, and, you know, they were friends. So when you sing and you spend time and you nurture them, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and then you name them, and you go, right, you chicken, you mustn't be picking on this chicken, and that's naughty. Now let's just send a prayer for this chicken, because this chicken's looking a little bit pecked. And you know, when you actually get involved in that way, because you're loving and you're seeing, I see you, I see you, I see you tree, I see you chickens, then you assist that being to get well, to feel good, to raise its frequency. Its vibrational frequency must raise, and or rise, I should say, must rise. So when you spend time with anything and you're loving them without wanting anything in return, just doing it from your heart, organically, naturally, then you see the change. And if you can see the change on trees, and chickens, and whatever else, then you know that the change is also happening for you too. And so when anybody goes about their day and berating themselves, like so many people do, or they say little snidey comments, and you just think that's so aggressive and so uncalled for. A friend of mine said something the other day, and I didn't pull her up, and I should have pulled her up on it. She said, she said, and this is a quote, "If I had a brain, I would be dangerous." And there are lots of these silly quotes that people, or silly sayings that people use in their day-to-day. They don't think it means anything. That person's a pain in the ass, or you're doing my head in, or, you know, all of these things that people say to themselves or they say to others. And they're really so... they're so toxic, and they're so unhelpful. They're unhelpful for all of us, because we are all connected as one. So when somebody's berating and beating up on themselves, they're also beating up on us as well, because we're all part of that. And whilst we can't be going around telling everyone how to do their stuff, or, you know, when you are a close friend, you can say, okay, stop, cancel, clear, delete. What might you like to say instead in this instance? Or hang on a second, what did you just say? What did you just say? What did you just say? You want to say that again, or do you want to change that? Are you happy with that? Not for me to say, if that's what you want to say. But consider it. I invite you. I invite you. I invite you. So my message for today, again, is one of love. Wherever we place our loving intention, and how we love ourselves is also reflected back on how we are able to love others. It's always a good and beautiful and joyful thing to do, is to be in the company and in the harmony of nature. And as we spend our linear time in this way with tree friends, animal friends, light beings, then we assist them and we assist ourselves naturally. That's part of the process. but be doing it because we're loving it and we're loving all. And so that was my first real walnut friend, a dear walnut friend in Costa Brava, a guardian to the chickens, a place for the chickens to rest. The chickens used to climb the tree. There was a rope that hung from the branches, and the chickens used to line themselves up there. So you used to walk in, and there would be these rounded bottoms looking at me until they all dive bombed onto my head, wanting the goods. But it was a happy times I spent with those chickens and with that walnut tree, and happy times that I spend with this walnut tree too. I speak with this walnut tree even when I'm in my home. I can connect with this tree lightning speed. I'm not even sure what lightning speed is, but yeah, there is no time with my connection. The tree is always there, and that's lovely for both of us. So I invite you all to make good friends with trees, make good friends with nature, and enjoy being out in the natural, peaceful, beautiful world as much as you possibly can. There's so much that we can learn from being outdoors, breathing in fresh air, rejoicing in the sun, rejoicing in all that is. Thank you for watching. My name is Zaza, and I come to you from beside dear Walnut Tree. And as I mentioned before, Lanto Lightfoot is on watch duties and being a very good boy. He's a very good Spanish Mastin. And if you like this video, please share it, subscribe and comment, if you feel called to do so, of course. Thank you.